Well, welcome back to another episode of the behind the scenes look at the Just So You Know album. Tonight I thought I would do an episode on the song Bother Me. It was it was one of the songs that was written after my time in London, like fully and completely after my time in London. I believe it was our first year here in Brussels, and we had some friends, some Australian friends who were living coincidentally in Hamburg at the time. And we wanted to get together with them, so we literally picked a place on the map in the Netherlands, which was exactly equidistant for us, which was a little town called Grau. I don't even know whether I'm pronouncing it correctly, but Grau, in the on the coast, near the coast of the Netherlands. And we rented this beautiful Airbnb, and it had this dock right on the canal, and it was in April, I believe, and it was very odd because it was almost like summer. Like, we were able to swim in the canal. It was so hot, and it was just one of those beautiful summer experiences, but oddly enough in April. So I sought out a couple of nights over the course of that trip and sort of sketched out this song. It wasn't completed there, but the large part of it was started there, and the rest of it I did after I got back to Brussels. And I always pictured this song as a bit more than just an acoustic song. A lot of them, everything starts just as an acoustic song, but this is one of those songs I felt it it had a bigger life in it. So that took some effort to get it there. Largely because the great drum and bass tracks that Lucas Parlato and Graham Henderson put on remotely, because I was living in Brussels at the time. And there's a lot to this song. I sort of thought I'd walk through a bit of the production part of it, because there's a lot going on in this song. I'm just scrolling across here. There's 85 different tracks. And that doesn't include the drums, because Lucas actually mixed his own drum track for this, and I just plugged it in as is, so I didn't need to separate all the stems and deal with them. So yeah, there's a lot vocally, there's a lot of guitars on here. So the intro is a bit strange and very different from something that I would normally write, and that was kind of the intent. I wanted it to have sort of a bit of a ethereal kind of quality to it. The background, the vocals are really kind of in the back. I did struggle with this because my, it's difficult for me to pull off those kind of vocals. So there's a lot to those vocals. But just to sort of walk you through it, let's see if I can isolate all these. There is there's a whole bunch of vocal tracks, sort of padded, and that complement one another, including the little tracks on the left and right, which are sort of higher, sort of a chant, almost like a little yell, but this is the whole thing, I think. A few things in there. Oh, and I forgot the main sort of riff part here. So to start with, let me isolate the main guitar riff, which is just sort of a chucking kind of thing. And it's double tracked, so there's two of those. There's one on the left and one on the right playing the identical part, but I played them separately. And they were all played with this, my PRS Special Semi-Hollow. I would be certain it would be in the humbucking position. And I think almost all the guitars on that song are done with that guitar, the exception of a few, and maybe I'll point those out later. But there's that, and there's also, just to give the vocals a little bit of help, which my vocals often do. Let's see if this brings it up. Here, yeah. It's just duplicating the melody line to provide a bit of warmth into the back of it. So there's those. So together, the guitar parts are... And then you add in a bunch of the vocals. There's probably 6 or maybe 8 or 9 vocal tracks on here. One high one. I actually added that last high one like just before I mixed it down in advance of mastering it, just because it needed something on the second melody line. So, and there's actually, in the second time through, there's a, I guess you'd call it a post-chorus after the first verse that lies between the first and second verses. And it is almost the same thing. It's basically the same lines, but the chord change goes from, instead of D to G, it goes to D to E minor. So it adds a little bit more tension, I guess, for lack of a better word. So the first one, yeah, see, this is to G, whereas this one goes to E minor. E minor. Yeah, so that's what's going on in there. And is there actually an EBow part in there too? Let me just have a listen here. No, those are the riffs. So the choruses. Am I in the chorus here? No, here's the chorus. When the hill gets steeper and the lines grow deeper. There's a lot of harmony vocals going on there. Let's see if I've got them here. When the hill gets steeper and the lines grow deeper, it won't bother me, bother me. Okay, those are the background. This is with the harmony. Fill the spaces, they don't bother me, bother me, bother me, no, no. That's a funny thing about those vocal lines. The lead vocal line actually goes really low, and the harmony line, which is already low, supplants it and replaces it on the higher end. So it gives kind of a funny sound to it. In the choruses, just to give it a bit of an elevation, there are a couple things going on. First of all, there's a lot of guitars. So the basic rhythm guitars, which are here, I think. Well, first of all, there's the EBow, which is sort of buried in the back, but that kind of makes the guitar sound like a violin a little bit. And I put one in just because I felt it needed something that warmed it up a little in the background. So this is the EBow part. You can hardly hear it, but it's there. It fills it out a little bit in the back. Yeah, and there's also, let's see if I can isolate this one. This sort of, I heard another guitar player call it sort of ding-dongs, which are a bit of padding or a bit of higher, clean melody notes underneath, and these are heavily affected, but let's see if it comes through here. Yeah. Here's the beginning. Yeah, so that goes on through the choruses, actually through the whole second section of the song, including the solo. You can kind of hear it in the solo in the back. It definitely fills it out much more in the guitar solo section of it. And the electric guitars, yeah, which should probably be here. Yeah. There's actually 4 of those. That's quad tracked. So there's 2 on each side, and they are panned. 2 of them are hard pan, and the others are maybe about 80%. So it sounds really thick and full. We talked about the intro, and we talked about sort of where this song came from. And I'd like to talk a little more about what else is going on in this song, because there's a lot guitar-wise, and the bridge is certainly a place where all that kind of comes together. So in addition to, let me just play the whole, what's going on in the bridge here, all together. Follow me, will I read the signs, hit the mines, find the rhymes, will I leave all the counterfeit, the illegit, what doesn't fit, the little things that sorely lack and hold me back from finding. So, yeah, a lot going on there guitar-wise, for sure. And let's start with the electric guitars, I guess, first, because there's the 4 that I spoke about earlier, the 4 tracks for the chorus, but there's also a couple others on the rhythm side. This is just the electric guitars. So, in addition to the 4 main electric guitars, there's these fuzz guitars, which are right here, and they are done with this, the good old Big Muff by Electro Harmonics. They have a whole pile of these. They've been around a long time. I've always wanted one, and I think it was last year or the year before I bought one. And yeah, I love it. They're really heavy. At least they're applied really heavy here, so it gives a really fat sound to those punches and almost kind of an industrial sound. So when played together with the other 4, this is what they are. Just those 2. Yeah, heavy. So there's those. In addition to those, the 4, there is this sort of light and fluffy guitar, or light and fluffy. And that was played, I don't even have to hear it. I don't even have to remember, I can tell. It was played with Maggie. This is my Axeworks custom Strat that Kevin McPhail built for me back in 1991, and we both named Maggie. And I can tell that's that guitar. I can even tell that it's in position 4. So that's that, and in addition, there's also this funny, it's like I was just playing around with a bunch of different effects plugins on my audio software, and there's an auto wah kind of sound on this, which sounds like a wah pedal, but it's kind of done electronically based on how heavy you play rather than me sitting there playing it with my foot. So this is what that sounds like. Yeah, so, and that's all in there as well. And of course there's acoustic guitars, which I'll play for you here. There's always acoustic guitars in my music. You can barely hear those, but they're in the mixture. So the electric guitars all together sound like this again. Yep, pretty chuggy, lots of chugging going on there. So that's what that's all about. And the next little part is the guitar solo, which I played on, I think it was the PRS, but I'm not exactly sure. And yeah, soloed out. I'll let you hear that because it's kind of annoying. You hear there's a really bad buzz. Yeah, I've got that all edited out, but that's because it's a bad patch cable. Anyway, you can hear it a bit at the end, and I faded out maybe a little too quickly, but I did the solo quite quickly. It was one take, and I thought I just like it. I'm not going to worry too much about the buzz. But you can hear it in there. In comes the buzz. Yeah, anyway, I faded that out before it became too much of a problem. But anyways, I kept it. So the next, I guess, kind of busiest part, as I mentioned in one of the other videos, I like big endings to a lot of my songs, mainly to try and build it into something, and this song's no exception. But really, there's only two elements that I use to try and elevate the ending here. One is primarily the vocals, because I put in two other higher harmonies than appear in the rest of the song. And yeah, see if I can single them out here. But you'll hear them only the last, because there's two outro choruses, so this is where you'll hear them.
Faces that fill the spaces, they don't bother me, they don't bother me, no, no. When I'm fine to grow older and be a little bolder, it won't bother me, it won't bother me, no, no.
So I don't know, they're there. There's a higher set of harmonies there. I guess the last thing, the drums on this song, I brought this song to Lucas, or sent it to him, and we had a video conference about it. I just said, I don't really have anything too clearly in mind for it, so I just kind of left it in his court and see what he would come up with. And he came up with this really cool part. And it's all snare work, so it's definitely different than a straight up kind of 4/4 kind of thing. Snare, standard 2/4 kick snare thing. So this is the isolated drum track of his. Let me get rid of the vocals here. This is just the drums. Any changes that I get the Yeah, so that's the isolated drums. And I really like it at the end too, because he does, I love the way Lucas does a lot of left-handed ghost note work when he's on the ride. And I remember from my drumming days, I really liked doing that too, but I was never very good at it. So it's nice to have my songs have someone who can do it properly. Such a good drum track. I'll add in the bass maybe. Yeah, so yeah, I couldn't have been more happy with it. In the end, I was a little bit, I didn't quite know what to think of it because it's not quite what I was expecting, even though I wasn't really expecting anything in particular. But yeah, I laid a couple other guitar tracks down on top of it after he sent it to me. And it's just like, yeah, that's definitely a very different vibe and very cool. So that's basically, in an elongated nutshell, what some of the sort of production side and instrumentation side of Bother Me. Is there any percussion in there, I wonder? Yeah, there is percussion. Let me just see if I can isolate that just for fun. Let's go into percussion. Yeah, let's go over here. Sorry, here we go. Yeah, so Lucas did all this. I didn't do any of that. So just looking at the track list here, there's a shaker and a tambourine. Yeah, and then he has certain other accent pieces, cymbal swells. Yeah, I like that. That is just floor tom hits to accentuate certain parts of the song. Yeah. Little percussion and yeah, and I'll play that whole thing for you because that's kind of cool. And that's where that big thump is. So yeah, he did some nice accent pieces in there as well to just sort of give it some oomph at certain points in the song and punctuate certain transitions. So, and that's another thing I love about Lucas's playing, because it's very musical. It's not just a drum track. He puts thought into it. So yeah, anyway, there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed this take on Bother Me. It ended up being 2 videos, I guess, but maybe that's better because it details a fair bit in this song. And of course, yeah, there is a lot going on. So yeah, see you next time.